Newcastle versus Arsenal, the biggest game in the Premier League this weekend. These are my predictions. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave your predictions down below. It's a huge game because, historically speaking, Arsenal have really struggled against Newcastle United at St James's Park. And you feel that Arsenal can't really afford to drop any more points. The fan base from Arsenal were livid with the way that Arsenal approached the Man City game. It's all about your intention. Football fans aren't idiots. There are ways of drawing football matches, even losing, if you lose in the right way. But Arsenal Football Club, you felt, were very, very negative at home against Manchester City. And as soon as the likes of Eberechi Eze came on, changed the game. Martinelli changed the game. And you feel that actually having that Moreno in midfield, having that Trossard left wing, conservative, negative, pragmatic decisions. These could have been justified in this fixture against Newcastle United, away, at home against Man City. The outpouring of hatred for how Arteta is approaching these kind of games was huge. And you feel that it puts massive pressure on him in a way that isn't necessary. You can let the handbrakes go at home in more games, particularly against the Man City side in transition. So that's where we have to start off. I think it's Arsenal side arriving at St James's Park under huge pressure, and that's also down to Liverpool's brilliance so far in the title race as well. Moreno, I mean, I don't want to see him anywhere near this midfield. I think you can get through a midfield with Mendy, Eze, and Declan Rice. I think Eze works his socks off. Yes, he's not as pragmatic off the ball than Moreno, but I don't think Moreno gives you anywhere near Eze levels. I just don't see the trade-off. Sometimes you have to go out and win a football match, and you're operating against one of the best managers of all time in Guardiola, and you're operating against Liverpool, who have just signed Isak, Ekitike, Wirtz. These guys aren't jokers. They want to retain the Premier League and win it next season as well. They want to do 3 in a row. So Arsenal have to be special. They have to do something unique, and they've got players to do that. Eze has to be starting these kind of games. Saliba obviously signed a brand new contract this week. That's a huge ringing endorsement for the project at Mikel Arteta's helm at Arsenal Football Club. He'll come back into the 11, obviously, like he did against Man City. But you have to say that their defensive depth and quality in the squad compared to where it was in 2023, 2022 with Rob Holding, Tomiyasu, etc. It is scary good. And I'm talking about Mascara, who you could easily see playing this kind of game at some point. But ultimately, Saliba, Gabriel, more than enough to get you through this kind of fixture. Newcastle have looked a little bit jaded at points. They're rotating heavily because they've got the Champions League. They want to try and obviously retain the League Cup. They got through against a really good Bradford side midweek. Obviously got smashed by Marcus Rashford the week before. And you feel that Eddie Howe is managing this squad to the best of his ability. You've got to say fair play. Huge Eddie Howe fan. He usually gets things right. But there was a lot of rotation in a 0-0 draw against Bournemouth last week. You're looking at the likes of Connor Gordon, barely featured. Voltemada didn't get much service either. Against Arsenal, you feel that'd be very, very different. And Arsenal have to be wary about the counter-attack. It's all well and good to say Newcastle are at home. It doesn't really matter to Newcastle. They're a counter-attacking side, really. I mean, you look at Gordon, you look at Harvey Barnes, you look at Alanga. The pace that they have on the break, frightening for most sides. Arsenal's attack is heavily altered now because Saka obviously got a big challenge against Port Vale in the League Cup. He looks like he'll be fit to start this game, but Madueke, rumours online this week that he had a ACL tear, which would have been devastating. We're seeing a lot of ACL damage this season and the last few years as well. Leone, for Liverpool as well, midweek done his ACL. Thankfully, it's not an ACL for Madueke, but you have to say, he has been a bright spark for Arsenal. I feel like you're an absolute moron if you sit there and say, well, you've got no goals, no assists. I still think his end product has to improve. But he's getting Arsenal further down the pitch. He doesn't lose the ball often. And a lot of his things, his kind of balls into the box, dangerous. And Victor Gyökeres is still getting to grips with arriving at the right time in the Premier League. I thought Madueke has been superb since the start of the season. He'll be a big miss against Newcastle United. The big question mark will be, is it Saka? Is it Martinelli? Is it Gyökeres with Eze behind? I think that's the kind of... You could do 4-2-4. Declan Rice, Zubimendi, and Eze joins the front line when Arsenal have the ball. Guardiola's doing that in big games. He's playing 4-1-4-1 at points. And I do like the idea that Arsenal go to Newcastle United, learning their mistake. And let's be completely real. all the football fans and their opinions about how negative Arsenal and Arteta was against Man City were completely justified because he made a half-time substitution. He was only 1-0 down. A lot of managers would have held their head up high and stuck to their guns and kind of been stubborn about it. And he wasn't. He knew he made a mistake. So you could see against Newcastle United, the handbrake let off. And I would implore Mikel Arteta to do it. Top sides win games by being good on the ball, not being negative. And Arsenal aren't shit houses. The DNA of the football club is stylish, va-va-voom football. And they can do that at Newcastle United if they want to. That's the question mark, if they want to do that. Newcastle United, I'm a huge fan of what they've done in the transfer market. I'm not going to lie. I know Wissa's not quite up to speed 100%, but Voltemade I'm a big fan of. He looks absolutely elegant at points, which I can't believe I'm saying for someone so tall. Obviously scored a big goal in his Premier League debut a couple of weeks back now. It will be about the service up to him, really. Can he drop into midfield and link up play? Can he provide sort of little flicks around the corner to the wingers? If he can get involved, then there's a big threat there against Arsenal because Zubimendi's quite small at points in the last few weeks, particularly actually in the Haaland goal. You saw he got a little bit outpowered, outran. You don't want Zubimendi running towards your own net, trying to put big last-ditch tackles in. He's not Fernandinho, he's not Kante, he's not Rodri. He's not Michael Essien. He's a little tactical kind of ball-playing CDM that sprays things around, and he's superb at doing it. But if Arsenal lose the ball high at the pitch, they have to be very, very careful how they try and win it back. They made a mess of it when they lost the ball to Man City, and Man City scored a devastating counter-attacking goal from Foden and Erling Haaland. And you're looking at it and thinking, can Newcastle do something similar, particularly with Elanga, particularly with Connor Gordon, who I think should be always playing these kind of games on the left and the right, respectively. I'm a big fan of Harvey Barnes. For me, in this kind of game, you want a little bit more quality than he brings you. And with Voltemade down the middle, that's a scary front line. It really, really is. Ultimately, Arsenal faltered against Newcastle in quite a symbolic way. They got battered 4-0 home and away in the League Cup. This is a competition that they should have treated as seriously as Newcastle United did. Of course, Isak was the difference there. But Arsenal, in a business end of the season, got absolutely smacked about by Newcastle United. I don't quite buy into how easy Arsenal fans let Arteta kind of forget about it. Now, there's a lot of online trolling about the City result and certain Premier League performances, but the Newcastle one last season, the League Cup, absolutely abysmal. And Arsenal have to show more when they go to St. James's Park. I'm confident they will. The big one for me is Eze. The big one for me is Martinelli, who's been in sensational form in recent weeks. Get those guys playing. Get those guys forming a connection. Martinelli, Saka, Gyökeres, Eze. That's one of the most lethal front fours in world football. Odegaard might be available as well. I wouldn't tinker with the back four. I think it's working really, really well. I think David Raya looks secure. Gabriel, Saliba. Mascara's got to be kicking himself because he's coming in. He's so good. He couldn't have put in any better performances to kind of usurp William Saliba or Gabriel. But that's just how good their relationship is. It says a lot. That you could argue Mascara should be starting this game. He's that good. And ultimately, he won't. Newcastle, I don't think they're going to score in this game. I think Arsenal are going to nick it 1-0 and put massive pressure on Liverpool, who got Crystal Palace. City got Burnley. But Arsenal have to keep up the pace on Sunday. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you give me your score predictions, and I'll see you very, very soon.